Ladies and gentlemen, did you really think that the messy triangle between Remy Ma, Papoose, and Claressa Shields could get any worse? Well, buckle up, because Remy's firstborn son just turned this love scandal into a full-blown crime scene. We're talking about fists flying, screams in the street, and a betrayal so personal that even soap operas are taking notes. Last night, Jason Scott, who is Rhee's own blood, saw Papoose cuddling Claressa outside that gym in Harlem. Let's just say that he didn't run away. Instead, he ran toward him with intent. The person who witnessed Remy crying when the cameras weren't? Rolling was her son, and he wasn't there for the drama. He was there for justice. Eyewitnesses are tweeting, and Remy just posted one word to her story, which is "shed served." Let's analyze the footage, the fallout, and the fight that is rocking hip-hop, because this is crazy. It began like any other night in Harlem, with the streets bustling and the air full of spring energy. Somewhere between a late-night boxing session and a post-workout smoothie, a scandal was waiting to blow up because 3 lives were taken at precisely 9:37 p.m. outside a 24-hour gym on Law, collided in a way that the course of one of hip-hop's most famous love stories. The gym's front security camera, 2 eyewitnesses, and a since-deleted social media clip caught what is currently being discussed online. Papoose was walking next to Claressa Shields, the champion boxer, the undefeated athlete, the woman who has been publicly involved in Remy Ma and Papoose's failing relationship. The two were laughing and conversing, and one witness claimed that they were moving like a couple who didn't care who saw them. That Jason Scott, Remy Ma's son, was sitting by himself in a black SUV across the street, parked behind tinted windows. Jason had no idea that his night was going to take a dark turn. Some claim he was waiting for a friend, while others claim he had been following them around for days. What we know for sure is that as soon as he saw Papoose with Claressa, he got out of the car and walked straight toward them. At first, there was no hesitation, no build-up, just one clean, sharp blow. A punch that landed so quickly that onlookers believed it was staged. But it wasn't. It was Jason Scott, a 23-year-old who was ferocious beyond reason. A parked car and attempted to recover by raising both hands in what seemed to be a defensive gesture, but the damage had already been done. The second punch came faster than the first, and one witness said it felt personal, like this had been building for a long time. He wasn't swinging wildly. He knew what he was doing. Claressa stood frozen, didn't yell, didn't step in. She just backed up slowly, eyes wide, body stiff, absorbing what was happening directly in front of her. According to reports, she turned and left without saying a word. And a few moments later, she was seen getting into a black car that sped off down the avenue. The entire altercation lasted less than a minute, but the fallout will last much longer. Let's take a moment to go back in time and explain why Jason, of all people, decided to take action. First, this is not a random incident. This is the son who witnessed Papoose holding down his mother while she was serving time. The same son who celebrated his birthday with him and called him a role model, and who once told a podcast host that Papoose is the reason I think men can be loyal. Jason saw Papoose walking the streets with the same woman Remy had publicly warned about. It wasn't just betrayal, but also public humiliation, and it was evidence of everything Papoose once stood for. I told you I don't care what people think. That's my mom. You know what she's been through? You go out there with her enemy and think I'm supposed to stay silent? The confrontation didn't go public, but what happened outside the gym did. And by the time the police arrived, the internet had already taken hold of the story. Screenshots of the scene were uploaded to social media hashtags, and viewers slowed down. Jason had collapsed under pressure. And according to multiple leaked messages obtained by sources close to Jason, wasn't a one-time encounter. Examining each moment of the video, examining Papoose's response, Claressa's facial expression, and even the sweater Jason was sporting, which said in bold, "Protect what raised you." Within 2 hours, commentators across YouTube and Instagram had flooded. The timeline with breakdowns, reactions, and questions no one had answers for. Where was Remy Ma? Why was Claressa even with Papoose? And most importantly, why did Jason feel he had to be the one to act while none of the parties involved have issued formal statements? What we do have is a digital trail. Earlier that evening, Claressa had posted a now-deleted Instagram story of a gym locker room with a caption. Some people still must develop the ability to let go. A local trainer had tagged Papoose in a post that said, "Solid work tonight, bro." Real ones always bounce back. That same evening. But the most chilling detail came hours later at 4:12 a.m., after a night of total silence. Remy Ma posted a black screen to her IG story with just 3 words: "Actions mean more." She didn't name anyone or provide any other details, but the message was clear. Remy and Papoose's tension has been rising for months due to claims of adultery, viral live streams, and Claressa's public appearance, calling out industry women who pose as wives. The pressure cooker has been heating up nonstop. And nobody anticipated that Remy's son would be the first to blow the lid off the situation. However, by morning, pictures of Papoose entering a nearby urgent care center with a man who appeared to be his cousin appeared online. He was bruised and holding a cloth to his face. No official medical statements were released, and the police have not confirmed whether charges will be brought, but the damage to his reputation, emotions, physical health had already been done. Some claim Jason went too far, while others claim he did what many sons would do if they witnessed their mother treated with such disrespect. But regardless of your stance, one thing is certain: isn't just about a fight. It's about a family in disarray, a loyalty that broke a legacy that might never be restored. When the video stopped, the rumors started to spread. And the fight evolved into a movement with 1 million opinions, 1,000 stories, and 100 so-called insiders who all had something to say at once. However, behind the viral videos and trending hashtags, there was something that no one knew, and that truth began with Claressa Shields. Read: Claressa Shields is not involved in any personal dispute. She was at a public gym and departed the premises following a fight between 2 other Nzes. By 2 other people, we're ignoring the fact that she was physically there, walking next to the man who raised Jason, and that she has been connected to Papoose for months due to a combination of online rumors, concert appearances, and a suspiciously flirtatious radio interview. Claressa wanted to disappear from the story, but the story wouldn't let her go, because minutes after she made her statement, a leaked voice note purportedly from one of her close friends appeared online. The voice was a confident but shaky female. She claimed that she warned Papoose not to come that night because she knew the son was around, but he still showed up. Now, let's take a moment to consider this. Claressa knew about the tension, but she also apparently tried to prevent it. Or was she trying to avoid getting caught in the middle? In any case, fans weren't buying it, and the comment sections turned nasty, calling her a trigger rather than a victim. Remy Ma remained silent, sending no tweets, reposts, or whispers. But what the internet didn't yet know was that Remy had been in contact with her son for less than an hour. Following the altercation, family members, including a former assistant who has since deleted her Instagram, claimed that Jason sent his mother a voice memo right after the attack. We haven't heard it, but here is the purported transcription. "I didn't intend to hit him in that way. Instead, I just saw how they looked at one another and everything I needed to. I didn't do it for influence. Rather, I did it because I remembered how she looked after she learned that line. I remember how she looked after she discovered that line. I remember her looking like a second punch because we're now discussing pain. Not just drama, not just gossip, real pain, and what the internet was doing with memes, edits, and threads." A police report surfaced, filed anonymously, listing Jason Scott as a person of interest in an ongoing investigation tied to a physical assault resulting in bodily harm. The report didn't name Papoose directly, but the location, time, and context made it clear that the press pounced on headlines with the words charged, booked, and arrest imminent, even though nothing had been confirmed. Another YouTuber even recreated the entire altercation in a dramatized animation, implying that Claressa's mouthed the word please just before leaving. What did Jason do? He vanished from social media. There were no new posts or online activity, not even a seen status on old messages. According to an insider close to the Scott family, while the media wanted a mugshot, Remy Ma reportedly wanted something else: distance. According to a source within her label, Remy was shocked, angry, and conflicted. She didn't condone the violence, but she wasn't speaking out against her son either. In fact, she reportedly told someone on her team that he did what many people talk about but never really do. Let that sink in. Let that sink in. The other man in this triangle, Papoose, was taken to a private clinic following the altercation, avoiding emergency rooms to keep things quiet. However, nothing stays quiet in this industry for long. According to the report, a medical worker allegedly leaked details to a friend who shared them with an underground blog. The injuries included minor facial trauma, swelling near the eye, and a fractured wrist from impact with a vehicle. There were no signs of retaliation, just defense. The last line said, "The patient seemed more hurt emotionally than physically," is understandable given that Papoose's focus was on legacy, love, and more than simply fists. In the days that followed, new footage surfaced from an alternate angle taken from a car dashcam parked nearby. It showed something that the first clip didn't show: Claressa grabbing Papoose's hands seconds before Jason stepped out of the SUV. It wasn't long, it wasn't dramatic, but it was enough for people to say, "See, that's why he snapped." Loyalty that broke under pressure. How do you recover from that? You're the man who supported Remy through prison, raised her son, praised her in interviews, and wrote rhymes about her strength. And now you're the one lying on the sidewalk while that same son is standing over you. It's cinematic, painful, and it's far from over. And once an anonymous direct message sent to a celebrity gossip page claimed that Claressa and Papoose had been secretly dating for months, even while Remy and Papoose were working on things privately. The source claimed that there were dinners, hotel stays, and even a leaked voicemail in which Claressa joked, "Tell Remy thanks for warming the seat. We haven't verified this." After that clip appeared on Twitter, everything exploded once more, and the debate shifted from who threw the punch to why it happened at all. However, since this is the internet, the page posted it anyhow, and once that message went online, the story hit. People weren't wondering, did Jason go too far? At the next level. Why didn't he go further? They asked. The world is waiting. Because despite all the headlines and hot takes, Remy Ma hasn't spoken. She has shared a few old pictures, vague stories, and subtle captions. But she hasn't said a single word about the man who reared her son or the woman who stood next to him that night. Her silence speaks louder than anything she could say because if it had been about fists and feelings, it would have died in a news cycle. Instead, it's about respect, history, legacy. And as we move into part 3, we uncover the aftermath of the violent altercation between Jason, Scott, and Papoose. No one anticipated potential lawsuits, hidden recordings, and the unexpected message that may have just leaked from inside the Scott household. What was said? Who is suing whom? And did Papoose just hire legal protection against Remy's own family? Keep watching, because what began with a fist may now end with a lawyer, because in the days following the altercation, this family feud has gone from private heartbreak to potential legal warfare. Although no formal complaint has been filed yet, according to sources close to his team, he is recording every bruise, message, call, and reason because behind the scenes, more is going on than anyone anticipated. One source inside the legal community claims that Papoose is thinking of requesting a restraining order against Jason Scott because, in words, "I never thought I'd need protection for family." That quote hasn't been made public yet, But if it is, the internet will go wild again because, let's face it, how can you even comprehend that sentence? It's not just Papoose making moves because, despite her continued silence in public, Claressa Shields has been in cleanup mode behind closed doors, according to one of her former PR consultants who left her team just last month. She has already contacted crisis managers and image repair agencies because she knows this isn't just bad press. The same man who called Jason my son on national television got Remy's name tattooed, stood outside prison gates for years, is allegedly filing to ensure Jason never again comes within 100 feet of him. She's trying to remove her name from every arena she goes to, whether it's boxing or the media. But the problem is that you can't remove what has already been captured because, while most people were watching the fight, a leaked audio clip appeared, purportedly from inside the Scott household. The voice is actually about Claressa. What people don't see is how long I've been waiting to say it, and I regret it didn't happen sooner. Those final few words are now making the rounds on all social media platforms, including TikTok voiceovers on blogs and Remy Ma. And she hasn't said anything in public yet? I didn't ask him to do that, and I didn't want it to go that far, but I understand why it did. And I can't lie, when I saw who he hit, I didn't feel what I thought I would, she says in a private voicemail that was released late Thursday night and purportedly sent from Remy to a close friend. This is the gray area, where morality divides and family loyalty crosses the line into vigilante behavior. And Remy is caught between two men, one she raised and one who helped raise him. What side does she choose? The public wants answers, but they're not satisfied. The line is chilling because it tells us one thing: Remy didn't condone the attack, but she also didn't mourn it. Getting any instead? They're getting power plays. Industry insiders are speculating that Papoose might be distancing himself from a number of joint business ventures he once shared with Remy, including publishing rights and performance royalties contracts that are being reviewed. Money is being separated, and this isn't just a breakup, it's a divorce of empires. Jason's status is still unknown. He hasn't been arrested and no warrant has been made public, but his name is being investigated and attorneys from both sides are getting ready for the next development. Some think Papoose won't file charges, while others say he's waiting for one last betrayal before he does. Is intensifying, especially in light of the recent revelation by one of Claressa's former sparring partners, who trained with her during her Florida camp, that Papoose and Claressa were spotted checking into a Miami hotel 2 months ago under different names. This is accurate. It indicates that the relationship wasn't just real but active long before this fight. It's a timeline, a strategy, and a hidden truth behind every public smile. It also turns the punch from an act of rage into an act of final exposure, because Jason may not have been responding to what he saw. Perhaps he already knew everything, and that night was Judgment Day. What happens now? What happens to Remy Ma, whose name is now at the center of a scandal? What happens to Papoose, who was once hailed as the blueprint for loyalty but is now in the crosshairs of the very boy he raised? And Claressa, who may legally walk away from this clean, but the internet doesn't forgive easily. Her name is now tied to a moment that will follow her into every ring, press conference, and interview. The phrase homewrecker has already gone viral twice, and she hasn't said a word. Jason is referred to as reckless, brave, and reckless, but everyone agrees on one thing, regardless. He changed the story with hands, which is what most people only imagine. Remy may never talk about it directly, but a tweet liked by her official account says it all. Sometimes the ones who fight for you were watching when you forgot who you were. That post has received over 800,000 likes. And in a world full of PR statements and fake apologies, perhaps that's the closest we'll ever get to hearing how she truly feels. This story was about a son and father, and it wasn't simply about a love triangle or treachery. It was about what happens when genuine pain ceases to be hidden. After the punches, the silence, the voice notes, and the legal actions, one thing is certain: This family may never be the same again. If you believe the story is over, think again, because we're still waiting on the full truth and whether charges will be filed. Man, a line that was once crossed couldn't be walked back. Now, what's left is the silence between them. Was Jason Scott out of line? Or did he do what every faithful son dreams of when they see their mother disrespected in public? It's Claressa, a victim of violence, or was she the one who thought no one was watching when he crossed the line? Don't just watch from the sidelines. Instead, jump in, hit subscribe, turn on those notifications, and leave a comment below. Do you support Remy's son? Or is this the beginning of the end for everyone involved? The next twist is coming, and you'll hear it. Will Remy Ma finally speak? Will Claressa break her silence, or just keep running? This is bigger than one fight, and this is a legacy under attack. First, keep an eye out. Keep an eye out.